Good evening, everyone. It's such a privilege to be here, standing in front of you all dreamers, doers, believers. And today, I want to talk about something that has shaped not just my career, but my life. Something simple, powerful, and often underestimated. Your words. See, growing up in India, in a small town with big skies and bigger dreams, I was told a lot of things. You're too ambitious. You talk too much. Girls shouldn't be so opinionated. And for a while, I believed it, but then something changed. One day I looked in the mirror and I said something different. I said, I am enough. Just 3 words, but they changed everything. Because here's the truth. Your words become your reality. What you say to yourself, what you speak into the world, those aren't just sounds. They're seeds, and like any seed, when you plant them deep enough and nurture them long enough, they grow into your truth. When I moved across the world from Bollywood to Hollywood, people said, you'll never make it there. You have an accent. You don't fit the mold. But I said to myself, I am limitless. And I kept saying it. Until one day the world started to believe it too. Words are not just communication, they're manifestation. They are the bridge between who you are and who you can become. And I want you to think about the words you use, especially the ones you whisper to yourself in the dark. Are they building you or breaking you? Don't underestimate them. Say what you want, not what you fear. Speak with intention. Declare who you are even before you become it. Because guess what? I didn't wake up one day on a magazine cover or on a global stage. It started with words, with conviction, with saying, I deserve to be here. So, to every young girl who thinks she's too loud, to every dreamer who feels too different, to everyone who's ever felt like they don't belong, I'm here to tell you. Change your words and you will change your world. Say it out loud, believe it, live it, because your words become your reality, absolutely. Here's a 500-word explanation of ***, key point 1 *** from the speech that *** words are powerful seeds ***. Words are often treated as casual expressions, fleeting sentences we toss into conversations, often without realizing their deeper impact. But the truth is, words are powerful, more powerful than we give them credit for. Every word we speak, especially about ourselves and our future, holds energy. It holds potential. It's like planting a seed into the soil of our consciousness. And just like seeds, with repetition and belief, words grow roots. They shape how we think, how we behave, and eventually, what we experience. Think about how many times someone's words have stayed with you, a compliment that lifted your spirits for days, or a harsh comment that echoed in your mind long after it was said. That's because words are not just sounds, they are emotional triggers. They have the power to inspire or to discourage, to heal or to wound. And when we constantly feed ourselves certain words, those words start to build a story. They become the script we live by. When you tell yourself, I can't do this, you're not just expressing doubt, you're reinforcing a mental limit. You're watering the seed of failure before you've even tried. But when you say, I will figure this out, even if you don't yet know how, you plant the seed of resilience. You tell your mind to look for solutions, not just problems, and your actions start to follow that belief. We do this unconsciously all the time. Phrases like, I'm not good enough, I'm just not lucky, or that's not for people like me, become mantras. And the more we repeat them, the more deeply they root into our identity. Eventually, they define how we see ourselves and how we approach life's opportunities. But the opposite is also true. Empowering words can build you up. Speaking words like, I deserve happiness, I'm learning, or I'm capable of great things, even if they feel uncomfortable at first, plants a new kind of seed, one that aligns with growth, hope, and confidence. And with enough repetition and intention, those words begin to feel real. They start to shape how you carry yourself, how you take risks, and how you show up in the world. Words don't just describe reality. They create it. The stories we tell out loud and in our minds become the lens through which we interpret everything. That's why it's so important to be mindful of what we're planting. Are we sowing seeds of fear, self-doubt, and limitation? Or are we choosing words that nurture courage, compassion, and possibility? Ultimately, the most important conversations are the ones we have with ourselves. Because from those conversations, our actions are born. Our decisions are shaped, and our life, bit by bit, takes form. So the next time you speak, especially to yourself, remember, you're planting something. Speak with care, Speak with belief, because those words, they will grow. The way we talk to ourselves is one of the most powerful forces shaping our lives, yet it often goes unnoticed. Self-talk, those quiet, constant thoughts running through our minds, can either be our greatest strength or our biggest limitation. It's the internal dialogue that starts when we wake up and often doesn't stop until we sleep. And the truth is, those words build our identity, our self-worth, and our confidence, whether we realize it or not. Imagine a young girl standing in front of the mirror, unsure of herself, maybe hearing echoes of criticism from the world around her, comments about not being good enough, smart enough, pretty enough. If she repeats those words in her mind, she starts to believe them, and once she believes them, she lives them. That internal narrative becomes her reality. Her decisions, her risks, her self-image, all filtered through that voice in her head. The danger is that these beliefs can become self-fulfilling. She might not raise her hand in class, she might not audition, she might not apply for the job, not because she's not capable, but because she has told herself she isn't. On the other hand, imagine that same girl looks into the mirror and says, "I am strong, I am capable, I belong here." Those words, even if whispered, carry power. They don't need to be shouted, they just need to be believed. And the more she says them, the more her brain begins to accept them as truth. Her posture changes, her decisions change, her reality changes. It's not magic, it's mental conditioning. Just like muscles grow with repetition, so does self-belief. What we say to ourselves becomes the story we tell about who we are. And often, it's not the world that limits us, it's the voice inside us that we've allowed to echo for too long without question. That's why it's essential to speak to ourselves with the same kindness, encouragement, and belief that we'd offer a loved one. Because if we want to live a life of purpose and courage, it has to start from within. Words like "I can't," "I'm not good enough," or "I always fail" chip away at our confidence over time. They might feel harmless in the moment, but they become a pattern, a mindset that influences every choice. Replacing those with even the smallest affirmations like "I'm doing my best," "I'm learning," or "I will figure this out," can shift our perspective, and perspective is everything. Yourself, Orc, is not just commentary on your life. It's a creator of it. You're not just observing who you are, you're shaping who you become, moment by moment, word by word. And the beautiful part is that you have the power to rewrite that dialogue anytime. You can choose to speak with belief instead of doubt, with kindness instead of criticism. Because every time you do, you're not just changing the way you feel. You're changing your future. From the moment we begin to understand the world, we are surrounded by voices, some encouraging, others critical, and many of them trying to define who we are. People will tell us who we should be, how we should act, what we can and cannot achieve. These external opinions, especially when repeated, start to form a narrative that we often carry unknowingly. But one of the most important lessons in life is learning that those voices do not have the final say. They do not get to define your identity, your worth, or your future. Only you do. It's incredibly easy to internalize what the world tells us. Maybe someone once said you weren't smart enough, or talented enough, or that you were dreaming too big. At first, it might just sting for a moment, but if you start repeating those words to yourself, they become part of your self-image. Without realizing it, you start limiting your own choices because someone else planted doubt in you. That's the danger of letting others write your story. They don't know your heart, your grit, or your potential. They only see a fraction of who you are. And yet, for many of us, those voices carry far too much weight. The truth is, no one knows your journey like you do. No one has lived your experiences, fought your battles, or felt your passion as deeply as you have. So why let people who don't know your full story shape your path? When you start defining yourself on your own terms, something powerful happens. You begin to make choices based on what you know you can become, not what others assume you can't. It takes courage to break away from the expectations and labels that others put on you. But that courage is what leads to authenticity, and authenticity is where your true power lies. Whether it's in your career, your relationships, or your dreams, you are the only one who can decide what you're capable of. And sometimes the most rebellious, most liberating thing you can do is to prove the world wrong, not out of spite, but out of self-belief. When Priyanka Chopra stepped into global entertainment, people told her she wouldn't succeed. Her accent, her background, her boldness were all seen as barriers, but she refused to let those definitions stick. Instead, she created her own space. That's what happens when you stop letting others tell you who you are. You reclaim your voice. You become the author of your own narrative. So when the world tries to put you in a box, don't shrink to fit. Break the box, redefine the terms, speak your truth, live your truth, and let your actions echo louder than the doubts around you. Because once you start believing in your own story, not the one handed to you, but the one you choose to write, you become unstoppable. Every word we speak holds energy, and that energy has direction. It moves us forward, holds us back, or keeps us stuck. When we speak with intention and purpose, our words become like a compass, guiding us toward the life we want to live. The difference between speaking casually and speaking with conviction is the difference between drifting through life and deliberately creating it. We often underestimate how much control we actually have simply by choosing how we speak, especially when it comes to the things we want, the goals we set, and the challenges we face. When people say things like, "I hope I get the job," or "maybe someday I'll be successful," those words carry uncertainty. They lack commitment. They leave space for doubt. But when you say, "I will find the right opportunity," or "I am working towards success every day," you've shifted the energy. You're no longer hoping, you're declaring. That shift may seem subtle, but it's powerful, because what you say becomes what you focus on, and what you focus on becomes what you act on. Intentional speech isn't about being perfect or pretending to have it all figured out. It's about choosing to use words that align with your values and your vision. It's about speaking from a place of purpose, not fear. Every time you choose words that affirm your direction, even if you're still figuring things out, you're creating a mindset that's solution-oriented, confident, and proactive. And when you repeatedly affirm those intentions, you train your brain to see opportunities where it once saw obstacles. There's also a psychological shift that happens when we speak our goals out loud. Words spoken with clarity begin to manifest as actions. It's why so many successful people use affirmations, mantras, and vision boards. Not because they're magical, but because they reinforce focus. They remind us daily of what we're working toward. When you say, "I'm becoming more disciplined," or "I'm building the life I want," you're setting a tone not just for yourself, but for how others perceive you as well. Speaking with intention also means taking responsibility for your narrative. It's easy to speak from a place of reaction, to complain, to blame, to express frustration. But when you choose to speak with intention, you're no longer reacting to life. You're creating it. You're telling the world who you are and where you're going, and that declaration starts to shape your experiences. People begin to respond differently to you. Opportunities align more clearly. Confidence grows. So whether you're facing a challenge, pursuing a goal, or simply waking up to a new day, ask yourself, what words am I using to frame my life? Are they rooted in fear or in faith? In hesitation or in hope? Your words are tools, and every time you speak with clarity and conviction, you are building the life you envision, one sentence, one belief, one intention at a time. Success often looks like a moment, a spotlight, an achievement, a goal finally reached. But what most people don't see is the quiet, often invisible process that comes before it. Belief. Long before the world celebrates your victories, you have to believe in them. Long before anyone else sees your potential, you have to recognize it in yourself. That internal belief is the starting point of every dream, every breakthrough, every transformation. It is not confidence that comes after success. It is belief that comes before it. When you look at someone who's accomplished great things, you might assume they always knew they'd make it. But the truth is, they didn't always have certainty, they had belief. And belief isn't about being sure of every step. It's about trusting yourself enough to take the first one. It's the voice that whispers, "I can," even when there's no evidence yet. That whisper is where everything begins. We often wait for validation, for someone to tell us we're good enough, talented enough, ready enough. But what if no one ever does? What if the world never gives you the permission you think you need? That's where belief steps in. It's the choice to back yourself even when the path isn't clear, even when you're afraid, even when others doubt you. Because if you don't believe in yourself first, why would anyone else? Belief is not pretending you have all the answers. It's the courage to say, I will figure it out. It's the resilience to keep showing up when things are uncertain, and the persistence to keep going even when no one's watching. Every successful person at some point had to speak their vision into existence. They had to say, I am becoming. Before they arrived, they had to live in the mindset of who they were becoming, not just who they were in that moment. This is why words matter so much. Saying I will succeed doesn't mean you're already there. It means you're aligning your thoughts, your energy, and your actions with that goal. It means you're creating a space in your life where success is not just possible, it's expected. And when you start expecting more of yourself, your effort rises to meet that expectation. Waiting until you feel successful before you believe in yourself is like waiting until you're in shape to go to the gym. Belief is the workout, it's the repetition. It's the mindset you build every day, especially on the days when it's hard, especially when nothing around you looks like it's working yet. So start now, believe now. Not later, not once someone else says it's okay. The journey from where you are to where you want to be starts with one decision: to believe in your ability to grow, to adapt, and to rise. You don't have to be there yet. You just have to trust that you're on your way, because belief is the blueprint and everything else follows. Life is not fixed. Who you are today does not have to be who you are tomorrow. That's the beauty of growth. It's available to anyone who's willing to change the story they've been telling themselves. So often, we live inside a version of ourselves built from past experiences, external opinions, and limiting beliefs. But the truth is, at any moment, you have the power to rewrite that story. You can choose new words, create new thoughts, and step into a new reality. Your present is not your prison, it's your platform for transformation. What we don't often realize is how much of our identity is shaped by repetition. The things we've said to ourselves over and over again, even if they're rooted in fear or insecurity, begin to feel like facts. We say things like, I'm always anxious, or I'm not creative, or I just don't have what it takes. And over time, those statements become the lens through which we see ourselves. But none of those words are permanent unless we choose to keep saying them. The moment you start speaking a different truth, you begin to carve a new path. Rewriting your reality doesn't mean pretending your struggles don't exist. It means acknowledging them without letting them define you. It means replacing I always mess things up with I'm learning from my mistakes. It means shifting from I'll never succeed to I'm taking steps towards success. These aren't just empty affirmations, they're intentional choices to redirect your focus, your effort, and your energy. This kind of change starts small. It begins with awareness, noticing the language you use when you talk about yourself, your future, and your abilities. Are your words building you up or tearing you down? Are they keeping you stuck in an old story or encouraging you to write a new one? Even the smallest shift in language can have a profound impact over time. Saying I'm trying instead of I can't opens up a door. Saying I deserve better instead of this is just how things are creates space for change. When you rewrite your inner dialogue, your actions begin to align with that new narrative. You start taking different risks. You carry yourself differently, you show up for your goals with more intention, and eventually your outer world begins to reflect the shifts happening inside you. This is how real change happens, not all at once, but word by word, thought by thought, decision by decision. The most empowering truth is this: you are not stuck. You are not limited to the story you've been told or the one you've told yourself. You can choose new words, you can plant new beliefs. You can become the version of yourself that once felt out of reach. And every day you choose those new words, you move closer to that reality. Your story is still being written and you hold the pen.